Hello, Pat Skeets here from meandmycricket.com. Today I'm doing an album share, and this is actually part 3 of a road trip along the west coast of North America. So let's begin. These pages can be found in my website in Travel Scrapbook number 2. Number 1 is still the same road trip, so you can look for those videos if you haven't seen them already. All right, so these are 15-year-old pages. I just found them in a box, so I decided to share them since they were my first travel albums that I'd done. Anyway, so the scrapbooking is different. It's changed. So we were in, I believe this was in Oregon. There's sea lion caves there, and you had to, this is the view from where we were. It was just beautiful, so high up, but then you had to take an elevator to go down into the bowels of the earth. I swear it was terrifying. They even warn you here that there's earthquakes, erosion, landslides, rock and water and land movement. I mean, you agree to assume all risks. I was terrified. Anyway, everyone else wanted to do it, so I went along and did it. Anyway, this is just a simple border page, like an outside corner on the paper, and I put a paper in the middle, in the center, that just use some of the colors of the other papers. So this is inside the after the elevator. You get off the elevator up there and you walk down the staircase. You're inside a cave, and there's holes in the rock, and you can see down in where the sea lions are. And that's down in there where the sea lions are. But I'm going to tell you, it stinks to high heaven down there. Anyway, oh, it was foul. And there were no sea lions in there. They were all out to sea feeding. It was that time of year. So check before you go if you really want to see the sea lions. They never told us that. They just let us go down anyway. The only reason I chose this paper is because it looked like it was a hole going down into the middle of the earth, and that's where I felt I was. So there's not much to this page, just putting all these photos. Anyway, it was funny. So when we came out of the sea lion caves, there was a beautiful sculpture with sea lions there, family, and it was beautiful bronzy and greeny colors, so that's what made me choose this paper. This is a large print paper that coordinated with this corner. This paper has like a corner print on it. So this was a coordinate, and I fussy cut a floral part out and used it here in this corner, and then placed my photos around. We were all just having fun posing. And I was wearing an animal print top and jacket, so I used an animal print paper behind this to just make the page pop a bit, just having fun. And then I brought in the brown gems on this page. See, in those days we just used punched flowers, or we bought silk and paper ones already made. I did put, now these gems are animal print, so that was kind of neat. I thought that was neat that I had them. Anyway, that was I was glad that was over. This is the next place we stayed was right on the water, and it was very windy, and the seagulls were just floating on the wind. Tons of them outside our hotel the whole time we were there. So there they are on the beach. It gave me a theme for my page. I had taken several pictures of them because there were just so many, and it was nonstop. So nice bird theme. So I found this lovely paper, and I made 2 frames for the background and placed my photos centered on them. Then this is a purchase border. I cut it in half, and I had 2 of them. I spread the pieces around because it looked like flourishes for the wind, and that's why I did this flourish. Found pretty corners in Design Space, so I used them on a couple of the photos. And these really pretty bird cages with birds, loved that. It was very pretty. So then we also had so many lookouts along the coast. Every 10 minutes you're driving, there's another lookout. It felt like it was every 10 minutes. I don't know. Anyway, there was a whale out in the water. We could see it there, right there. And these 2 boats were trying to get pictures of it or showing tourists or something like that. I know in Canada you're not allowed to get more than 200 meters close, to the whales. They looked a lot closer there. Anyway, I found the water paper was the ocean, so I thought that was perfect. Not much. I didn't want to cover it, so I just placed my photos around with fun titles and borders of whales, and then I did find a nice image of a whale, so I embossed it so it shows up better. So I guess I can show you how that's embossed. So that was fun. Now here we are in Florence. So this town was a coast town, and there's a marina there. More anchors. There were several anchors in the last album that I did of this trip. And this building had a huge mural with a giant octopus. So I did an octopus image from Art Nouveau in Design Space, from that cartridge. And at this time, there was no Design Space. Well, there was no Cricut access. You had to buy the cartridges. So anyway, I had Art Nouveau. I got that from there. So I decided to have fun with the title here. So I put FLORENCE, just to make it a little more interesting to read. I don't know why I did it, just having fun. So this paper is a coordinate to this stripe. So I repeated this floral in a 8-inch square that I turned at a 45-degree angle, and it became the background. Pardon me. So just placing my photos in an L shape here and adding one on top. All right, we're in Seaside now. And there's a big statue there of Lewis and Clark. So we all posed for pictures again. Because everybody knows I scrapbook, and my sister does as well. So that's why we make, they know they have to cooperate when we want to take lots of pictures. So because we were wearing blue and the sculpture was gray, and these apartment buildings look gray too, I chose this gray background and a blue and gray coordinating print. Then I just matted it, and twice I used the border punch on this just to add a little more interest to it, and it did. Then I embossed the border, and then I inked it with black. so it shows up, and it's an interesting effect. I quite liked it. So I guess you can see it really makes a difference. So, and then I used a border punch. It must have been new because I used it on a previous page. I love this leaf, so I just used it to create a frame. I made a corner with it, and it creates a frame for that photo. Anyway, on we go. All right, so here we have shopping. The girls like to shop. We're all shoppers, the three of us. So we found this store called the Hen House. So I just had fun with the title of it. I found a very pretty paper and then cut a piece off and moved that piece over to this side. Then I used a coordinating print in the same colors and cut an 8-inch square into, well, I just turned it. And then placed my photos around and just had fun with the title of the store. So actually it's not a hen, they're roosters. But I liked the image, so I went with it. And there was an antique car parade going on. The guys stayed outside and watched that while we shopped. So I don't even remember if I bought anything in there. So here's the parade. I was out there for some of it, a little bit of it. So I did all these cars photos lined up, and I wanted to make it smaller and smaller. I would never try that again, and I don't recommend it. It was a real pain, and it didn't turn out that great. And then I did this one getting wider. I was determined, I guess. So I had to cut all those photos, and that it drove me crazy. Don't recommend it. Just do them straight. Anyway, I love this paper with the birds on a wire. That was really cute. And I found an antique car. I aimed it the same direction as all the cars in the photo. And then I just put a title in a multicolored paper for parade. Now there were sand dunes. I don't know where this was. Somewhere in Oregon. Trying to get that. So there were sand dunes, and they were rolling hills, and people were doing these all-terrain vehicles all over the place. There's some photos of them doing it, and we got out and walked around a bit. We didn't want to go in too far because we didn't have a vehicle, and they were going so fast they could run you over if it was over a hill or something. But it was beautiful landscape. So I did take a panorama photo, and I used Kiwi Lane templates to create 1, 2, 3, 4 borders. And I don't recall that I've ever done 4 before. But it gives you the feeling of moving earth, landscape. I really like them for outdoor photos because of that. And then my images of these vehicles, I could tilt them and that on the hills. It looks like hills. So this was a fun page to do, and this title was amazing. So I really enjoyed doing this page. They were crazy, those guys, doing that stuff. I'm not adventurous. So this was another thing I didn't really care to do, but I did it. We took a cable car. This is Portland, the city, and there's a hospital up on the mountain, and you have to take a cable car to get up there. So we did go up there for the view, and when we got there, it was all glass, and there was a drawing that showed and labeled all the mountains that you could see. And then this one is Mount Hood is here, but you can hardly see it because it wasn't a crystal clear day. But Mount Hood is there, and I think there was Mount Baker and Mount St. Helen was there. You can't I can see it, but you probably can't, even if I held it up. Anyway, I found paper that was a cityscape, which was perfect because this is part of a panorama photo of the city. And so that was perfect, and this coordinated with it. So I added a block of paper up here to create a little more interest and bring in the darker tones of this side. And then I found a mountain image. We were up the mountain. And these were the only cable cars I could find at the time. Now I'm sure there would be more images in Cricut Access. But so I just used these are ski lifts, but I just used it as a cable car. So that was interesting. I don't like cable cars. I don't like being high above the ground like that in a glass thing. I'm not afraid of heights. I just don't like to be in a glass thing above the ground. Okay, and if you've been to Portland, you know about Powell's Bookstore. So I chose this paper because it had all the wood tones and also the colors of the books. There were like old books in there. It was great. So with 2 sheets of that paper for the background, I found a coordinate, and it's just an 8-inch square. I guess that was the thing in those days. I turned it at an angle to create a layered background. And then I had this border. Oops. It's store-bought. K & Company used to sell packages of borders. They were beautiful. So here's 2 the same. I used 1 full one here, cut one up into 3 bits, joining all those pictures, and found this wonderful image in a cartridge. I also found a great title I couldn't find a library title, so I just put knowledge and filled in the little holes in the letters and that with bright colors that like I had done in the books. So that was, by the way, there are Design Space links for all of my pages at my website. And there's links below to all my social media. So you can copy any of these pages if you like them. Just go to my website. These are all in Travel Scrapbook number 2. Now, this was so cute. There's a new teddy bear cartridge, and I saw the teddy bear with the camera, so he's the tourist. And there was a picture of my husband and with a camera around his neck, so I thought that was really cute. And then I found an image of a great, well, it's not a great big image. I made it big, filled this page, and then tucked my photos around the string on the camera. And a good title, Tourist with a Camera. So that all worked. This paper is American Crafts, a travel collection I got. It came in a box years ago. I still use it. I love it. So this is all like just travel symbols. It's terrific. So I love that. Oh, the cable cars in Portland were free downtown, so we could hop on, hop off anywhere we wanted. So we got to see all over downtown Portland. We even found a Japanese garden there. It was beautiful. And I love botanical gardens, so we went in. Yeah, we bought tickets and went in. It was gorgeous, so I highly recommend it. It was so nice to see something like that downtown. Vancouver has a botanical garden right downtown too. Plus they have Stanley Park, which is huge. Anyway, here's the front entrance, the gates, and I found a huge botanical print paper. I split it in half, spread it out, and put a black one in the middle so that my bonsai tree would show up. And it does, because I made it the size of a whole page. I like big images. on my pages and pretty paper to show, so I don't usually put as many photos as most people do. But this page I did. This was the top. They had, you know, this was up high on a building, so I took pictures of both sides, and then these were at the gates. Are they dragons? Not sure. Lions? Interesting. So this, in the gardens there were ponds, of course, and there was koi fish. So there's all kinds of orange fish you can see in there. Lily pads, whatever. It was just beautiful. So there was a bridge here, so I used a bridge, and then just placed koi fish all over the page after doing borders on each side. I did make them different. This is 4-inch and this is 5. And then I found images of, it's probably Chinese writing, but they did say that they were lovely messages, so I used them. Creative license. I embossed my fish. I guess I wasn't inking much in these days, or I could have inked those. Now this had a lovely, this is still in the Japanese garden, and there's a screen that you look through to look onto the beautiful gardens. And so I made 2 giant screens and tucked some photos behind and some on top. I had to place this photo so that my husband and my brother-in-law showed between in the slats there. Anyway, I found 2 pagoda-like birdcage things, images for there, and that page was done. I never put pictures behind things before, and I haven't done it since either. But there were no people in those pictures. It was just this building, actually. It was another view of different views of that building. So I did it anyway. And this is more Asian images that I had on a cartridge. This is a beautiful vase. I used this print. It's from the Far East paper pad, and I repeated it on this side in a block that I matted. And just a bonsai tree and a vase, very simple. I'd be much more elaborate if I did it today, but good memories. Now, this page is more in that garden. This is more paper from Asian paper, and so I just did, I cut a sheet at a diagonal and flipped it and used it on this side, so it makes a big stripe. And then that left these 2 corners open for big images. I did a kimono and a fan, and then just placed my pictures around, tucked it under here. And this is just a border image that I put in the corner, and I ran a bigger one. So, because these kimonos like this are usually hanging on a pole. So that's that page. And now we are in Seattle, Washington. So there wasn't a lot of images in Cricut for this. So anyway, I cut out a frame image for a background, and then just tucked some photos behind. There's the Space Needle. And we're coming out of the Seattle Center house. And that all these buildings were so unusual, and sculptures and bright colors. It was so unexpected. It was beautiful. So I found a title in Design Space for the state, not the city. But I did find an image for the city. So there's the Seattle Space Needle. picture of it, and I found an image. I've had to use this image for the Toronto CN Tower, because there isn't one of Toronto, and yet the CN Tower was first. Anyway, I found a title for the Space Needle too. That was great. So on this page, it's just very plain, full of photos. I did 2 border punches, and this frame I chose because of the background on this photo. All this wire, abstract metal. This looked like abstract metal to me. And so that was our some of our day in Seattle, visiting the Space Needle. I'm sure this was right outside Pike's Market. We did go there. Now, this is more scenes from, there was a beautiful park. Absolutely, it was huge, and they had this magnificent, huge fountain, it was bigger than an Olympic pool or something. It was huge. And so we all took pictures in front of the fountain, and in the grass there was these humps coming out like they were whale fins or something fins. It was really neat. Amazing, actually. So I found this beautiful paper. It had flourishes on it. Because of the water is why I chose it with flourishes and added flourishes. This was just I'm not sure if it's a corner image or a side of a frame. I did it really big and then just ran it down behind as a background on this coordinate to this side. Because this had a lot of black on it, I needed to repeat the black over there. And this floral paper is also a coordinate to this. So I did a pretty frame. I think I chose this because of the spiral loops I thought were kind of like motion with the fountain. Anyway, and here's Pike's Market. So my brother-in-law likes to cook, and he was over at the food section. I loved the way they displayed these peppers. It was very pretty and colorful. So I took a picture of the display and him with that, and then I found images of peppers. I guess they're jalapeno peppers in the market, or in Design Space, so I just used that for my image on the page. And this is a corner print. I just turned the paper and put I liked the flower side of the market, and he liked the food side of the market. Anyway, I found this image of paper that looked like the flowers I was photographing. So that's it. So that's our West Coast road trip. It was a beautiful scenic drive, and I highly recommend it. I hope you enjoyed these pages, and thanks for watching.